Forex is. It was like, Forex, what is this? And it was like numbers, finances, fundamentals, economy, like all this stuff that I didn't like. I'm not too smart, I think I just remember that I had to go to investopedia.com.
ChatGPT's probably destroyed Investopedia now.
Yeah, definitely.
Because people will always say like, oh, there's hidden rules. Yeah, they're hidden. They're hidden in plain sight. They're hidden in the FAQs, legal documents, the website.
People think that if you don't make 10% a month or more, that you're a bad trader. Like hedge funds, hedge fund banks, they make like 20% a year, and then someone from the parent's bedroom is claiming he's making 20% a month. It's not simple and easy to actually earn and make something. It was very bumpy road. It was very hard because I didn't know anyone that can help me. We didn't have any courses back then. It's not simple and easy, especially if you're not coming from the family who has money. You cannot afford just put on, 10,000 and trade with it. I discovered props in 2019. So I was still employed back then. I was in the army. And in fact, I was on a mission back then when I discovered it. He said, look, Seb, I have something for you. Are you comfortable trading 100K account? I was like, fuck. The prop space evolved so much that we can be, as a traders, we can be happy that this actually happened to us. Coming from time limit to no time limit is a big bump. It's a big jump, right?
And I've said this for a while, the prop space has benefited from not ever having any major market disruptions. And look, I don't blame the traders. They've been led down a false path by other firms.
Yeah, most of the stuff you see online, it's fake. There is a guy, a mentor of all mentors, he says. He's the ICT. People trading this concept are unprofitable. Well, shit, your strategy sucks.
Your strategy's terrible, to be honest.
We have like blueberry markets. Like, I love blueberry markets.
I knew like having both two like internal staff members do this podcast is just going to sort of divert into like shameless plugging of the product. Hello traders, welcome back to the Blueberry Funded Trader Spotlight. We have a very interesting twist on today's episode. We are joined by none other than Sebastian, who is Blueberry Funded's CMO, head of marketing, but also a trader himself, been in the markets for over 9 years now, been an educator, content creator in the space as well. So he's been able to see trading, CFDs, the prop world from a lot of different lenses. So I think having him on today is going to be interesting to understand his approach to props, both as a trader, but also as someone on the inside who's worked at prop firms as well. So Seb, it's great to have you on.
Hi, Marcus. I'm happy to be here, happy to help, and let's dive into.
Fantastic. So look, to get started, I guess maybe tell us a bit about your background, how you got into trading originally, and how you found prop firms.
So it all started basically 9 years ago. It was 2017. The thing is that I always wanted to do something else besides being employee of some companies and work. And I was like searching on the space, on the Google, the kind of work related stuff that you can do on the internet. And I came across option trading. It wasn't Forex at first, but it was options. Like, you click buy and sell, and then it like eventually in some time, a few seconds or even minutes, you're gonna earn something, right? It was like complete gamble.
Oh, okay. The good old fashioned binary options.
Binary option, yeah. Binary option.
Geez. The worst kind of options.
yeah, exactly. So I started with that, and then eventually, I made like 300 euros. I made that, and I was like, damn, you can really earn something like through the, clicking the buttons. And this is something that kind of bring me into the space. And then eventually in 2017, I discovered trading, especially Forex. It was funny how I did that. So I was working as a student. I was working as a student in cafe, a bartender, okay? And there was a guy who came with the laptop every day, like specific time. I understand now why, what time he came, because it was New York session open, I understand. But at that time, I didn't understand why he comes for coffee at specific times with the laptop. And I was like, okay, I bring him coffee. I see he have some charts on it, whatever. I was like, what is this? It was like a spaceship stuff, to me. And I said to myself, well, what if I ask him what he's doing? Like, do I lose something if he says no? I don't. But maybe he can give me the information that I can use, right? So I asked you, like, sir, excuse me, blah, blah, blah. What is this? And he said it's Forex. And I was like, what the Forex is? It's like, it was like Forex, what is this? And then I came home. Obviously, I went to the Google on computer. I typed it in Forex and it was like a lot of stuff popping out. And it was like numbers, finances, fundamentals, economy, like all this stuff that I didn't like. And I was like, okay, this is too hard for me. I'm not gonna do anything because I'm not too smart, I thought I'm not too smart about for this, so I left it. And then obviously later on, a few months, the Instagram became a hype. And when you go to the Instagram, and you go to search and explore, and you type, I don't know, Forex, and it pops like millions of pictures, people in the, I don't know, good cars, big mansions, whatever, and young people, obviously. And I saw that, and I see, okay, if they can do it, why I can't? If that makes sense, right? So this is the time when I got into, but it was very bumpy road. It was very hard because I didn't know anyone that can help me. We didn't have any courses back then, that someone can show you, okay, this is that, this is this. So I had to Google everything basically. I didn't even know that baby pips existed back then. So it was very hard, very hard. Not gonna lie, not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I feel like the proliferation and the growth of courses and social media, look, it's a double-edged sword in this space because I can relate to that too. And as much as I don't trade as much as I would want to anymore, looking back to when I did trade in the early days, and that's probably about, yeah, probably not far off here, probably about 10 years ago, 10, 11, 12 years ago when I started trading personally. The courses weren't really as, it's hard to explain, not as niche or not as direct as they are now. Back in the day, you'd go to like actual in-person seminars that cost a lot of money. They went over
Yeah.
days. You could go on YouTube. There was some online courses. You'd buy books. Like, it feels ancient now. That's the original thing that got me into FX. And I think in one way, it's great now that there is so many courses and things out there, but the downside is there's so much more noise. Like, I know everyone sort of likes to look down on the whole social media Lambo, mansion kind of
Yeah.
vibe of this industry, and rightfully so, because it's very fake, and it portrays a lifestyle that's not easily attainable and not necessarily something you should always strive for. And I think people look down on that a lot, but there is sort of a power in it because at the same time, it is what sort of initially attracts people to it. Because I won't lie, as much as, those things don't appeal as much to me as it might other people. Even when I was younger and I saw that stuff online and you're like, the same question, if they can do it, why can't I? And it does bring people in. Unfortunately, a lot of those people are bad actors out there. But these days you do see a lot more direct, a lot more useful courses. That being said, the proliferation of courses means there's a lot of useless ones out there as well. And it's kind of hard to decipher or to sift through them to find like what are the good ones and what are the bad ones. So I guess from your perspective, because you then eventually went on to do, once you got more into trading, to do education, content creation around it. So what's your sort of take on the online space right now of CFD trading? What people are seeing on social media, all the hype around it. All the courses, like how should people sift through that to find useful information?
Well, if I might add this, like from the beginning, I just remember that I had to go to investopedia.com to learn something, like, search the website,
I
search the
think
web for everything.
ChatGPT's probably destroyed Investopedia now because
Yeah,
Investopedia is
definitely.
something, it's kind of like what ChatGPT's done to Stack Overflow in like IT
Mm,
coding, it's done to Investopedia because, on the product side, development side, used to always go on Stack Overflow nonstop for coding. And I was thinking about this the other day. I don't remember the last time I looked at it. And you just brought up Investopedia, and I'm like, God, Investopedia. I used to be on that site like a
Yeah,
dozen times a week. And I just thought to myself,
yeah.
when was the last time I'd been on it? So that's a real blast from the past, I think, which is kind of sad in a way, but very interesting to hear. So you were saying
The
you're on
OG tapes.
Investopedia a lot. Yeah, the OG Investopedia.
Yeah. Well, the space I'm seeing right now, like in general, honestly, I liked it. I liked it more back then because it wasn't so much stuff online, and it wasn't like every other person has. I mean, every other person is successful in trading and having whatever courses and stuff. And now, like, it's just bombardment of information everywhere. Like, for example, I know what it takes to become profitable, not profitable, to be consistent, honestly, because you don't need like, I don't know, 10% revenue a month or ROI a month to be good. Like, it just depends what capital you're working with. And the problem nowadays in this industry is that people think that if you don't make 10% a month or more, that you're a bad trader, which in fact is very wrong, honestly, because you can make like hedge funds, hedge fund banks, whatever, they make like, I don't know, 20% a year, and then someone from the parents' bedroom is claiming he's making 20% a month. Well, let's be real, because trading is not just clicking the buttons, it's psychology, and I know for a fact, because I thought a lot of people, and getting skill set, getting knowledge is simple and it's easy. It's like going into the school and learning what, I don't know, how to calculate, it's easy to remember. But what's not easy and what's hard is psychology behind it. Because some people first are not used to the big numbers, are not used to the losing, are not even used to making money. Making money, you know? Because let's say, for example, you have a 100K account, um, and you're maybe, I don't know, 2 years in this space or 1 year, whatever. And you're having 100K account, and trade goes into the profit of 3,000, so 3%, right? And you're all hyped up, you're happy because you see, okay, 3,000 euros or USDs running up. And then obviously market is not just going up and down, it goes in zigzag. Obviously you're gonna have pullbacks, retracement, and for 20,000, market decide to go down for a bit to create a pullback, which is healthy, which is normal in the market, and 3,000 USD falls down to the 150, if that makes sense, right? 1.5. And then you're like, damn, why I didn't close at 3,000? What now? You know, you're sad, you're, nervous. What should I do next? What is the best decision for me? And what usually happens is people cannot see the big numbers running um, in profit. It's hard for them because maybe they're trading bigger money than they're used to. Maybe they are not using the proper risk management, or maybe they're just chasing this, how to say, chasing the feeling of whatever they saw on social media of how XYZ person or influencer made 50,000 on the gold trade, which most likely is demo, right? So the problem nowadays is in this space in industry, in forex industry, and especially social media, is that most of the stuff you see online, it's fake. It is what it is. It's fake. You can rent a Lambo, you can rent a villa, you can rent a, let's say, a studio, you can rent a people who is going to record you. You can edit your MP4. You can edit everything nowadays, especially
and
with
and
AI.
and even with props too, like on the prop side, just
Yeah,
to
even
throw it
with
out
props,
there, like, yeah, you might
definitely.
get a $20,000 payout, but no one knows how many challenges you failed to eventually
Exactly.
luck your way to that payout. So even that's what I
Exactly.
always say about the prop side is obviously way higher volume than the brokerage side in that it's a lower cost product. It's open to a lot more demographics. So many people flood on in on the product, when it comes to prop trading. Um, but what kind of makes that interesting is that you never really know what's going on when people have success.
Yeah.
It's definitely interesting in that sense. But I'm keen to get back to what you were saying just before, on that point.
Yes, yeah, I definitely agree with this prop space situation. I'm gonna touch that in a bit.
We'll get there.
So yeah, definitely. So the thing is, like I said, you can nowadays you can rent everything, you can fake everything, and most of the stuff you see online is fake. Why is fake? Because like I'm coming from the space where there wasn't social media hype, where there wasn't prop space, where you had to have your own money to actually trade, like live account, and it's not simple and easy to like, especially if you're not coming from the family who has money, right? You cannot afford to just put on, I don't know, 10,000 and trade with it, right? And it's not simple and easy to actually earn and make something. It's hard. It's not easy, and people doesn't understand that. And when it comes to most of the from where most of the failures comes from, especially now that I see on the challenges, verifications, um, is because people are not patient enough. They think that they have to make, I mean, they have to pass challenge in a day just to impress someone who doesn't even know that you exist, um, or impress someone on social media, like for I'm asking myself for what? Like, why? So I think this is the problem because of the hype. People are impatient. People want to do everything in one day, so the attention span is very low. And this is where most of the failures come from: lack of knowledge, impatience, hype, thinking I'm gonna have a Lambo next day when I, start trading, because everything is portrayed like this, like buy my course, learn my knowledge, and you're gonna be millionaire in a year. Whoa.
Well, that's the
Well,
thing. I
you're not going
agree.
to.
Exactly. And on the prop side, you see it escalate because back in the day, look, people have always been able to fake MetaTrader. If they're using a dodgy
Hmm.
broker, gives them manager access or admin access. People have always been able to fake that.
Yeah.
But that was a lot harder to do. The barrier to even, the fake gurus and people out there faking MetaTrader results was higher. Now it's kind of the thing about the prop space that I find very interesting is the sheer size of sort of people coming in, but how easy it is to get success from that. Because if you have a bit of money, you have 5 grand, 10 grand, you get a bunch of 100K challenges, eventually you'll get a payout. The mark of success is quite lighter. So you can then become an affiliate, you can become a content creator, you can build your course to be like, here's how I got to this many payouts. Because look, I'm not saying being a prop trader, is easy. I'm not saying getting payouts is easy, but if you have the capital to view it as an influencer creator business, like a content creator business, all you have to do is do a bunch of challenges. Eventually, you'll get that payout, and that's your evidence or your social proof for people to then go and buy your course. So, and I noticed that coming into the prop space because I was like, look, I know that's a much more, like I was saying earlier, higher volume industry, but it just feels like there's so many more course sellers, so many more affiliates, so many more content creators than in the broker space. Maybe it's just a parity thing because there's more traders, or it's a higher sort of volume, lower sale game, but it's not. It's because the proof of concept, the social proof of you being successful is so much lower. So the amount of people out there selling courses, being affiliates, it's massive. I mean, the businesses themselves have historically got low barriers to entry, but the barrier to entry to be an affiliate content creator is much lower as well. And in a way, that reflects the value proposition of prop firms. Lower downside risk, higher upside, and that's there for all traders. The downside of that, though, is people use it, really sort of get money out of people rather than to follow their own trading journey. But I think when it comes to prop firms, I'm keen to understand how you started to come across them because you originally started trading your own money, like a lot of people did, myself included back then. So what was the journey of you discovering prop firms, and how did you add them into your journey as a trader?
It was funny. So, yeah, so I discovered props in 2019. Obviously, it was just the FTMO back then that I knew about. And the funny part, how I came across, so I was still employed back then. I was in the army. And in fact, I was on a mission back then when I discovered it. So a friend of mine kind of, now he's not a friend of mine anymore because he did some shady stuff to me. But anyway, back then he was a friend. So he said, "Look, Seb, I have something for you. are you, he said, like, are you comfortable trading 100K account? And I was like, fuck, this is a lot of money, you know? I don't know if I'm comfortable, but I can try, right? And he said he have some investors, whatever, that I have to make XYZ percentage a month for them to give me a live account. And I was like, well, okay, let's do it. Like, let's try it. Those are the rules you have to obey, the classic, you know, prop rules. And once you pass this challenge and verification, which in that time I didn't know what this is, you're gonna get a live account. And I was like, okay, let's do it, right? So this is how I first got into the prop space. Do my first challenge back in the day, back in 2019. It was a 100K account. And obviously I started Googling what this is because I saw when you log in on the MetaTrader, you see the server, right? You see the firm. And I started Googling what this is. So I discovered, okay, this is not quote unquote some investors from him, but it's an actual prop firm that offers challenges, etc. But back then, it was a time limit on the challenge. So you had like 30 days to complete 10%, and you have 60 days to complete 5%. So the journey of becoming a quote unquote funded trader was definitely harder than it is right now. And the prop space evolved so much that we can be, as a traders, we can be happy that this actually happened to us, especially how the prop space evolved in the past 2 years, like coming from time limit to no time limit is a big bump. It's a big jump, right? And because, like, let's be realistic, having time limit of 30 days to complete 10% of profit, it's not trading, it's gambling. Because first of all, you don't know how the market is going to be, if it's going to be tradable. Second of all, you don't know in what state of mind you're going to be while trading the challenge. And third, you will have to pressure yourself. You will have to pressure the trading, which is not real trading, honestly. It's gambling, it's pressure. And we had success back then, like old school, you have to do it, whatever you have to do it. And coming from that space to current space where everything is so much easier, you don't have time limit, you have better rules, you have better conditions, and people still fail, like a lot. And I was like, how is this possible? Like, you can take it slow. There's no rush, do 1% a week, whatever, do 2% a week, whatever, take it slow. You're going to pass the challenge. You're going to become funded. You're going to get paid. Keep it simple. Why pressure? Why, going all in all the day? So this is the first time I kind of came across with prop. And I'm going to say this all the time. It's the best thing that happened to traders. Because back then, you need to have your own money, a lot of it, if you wanted to make something on a monthly basis. Now you can just easily buy a 100K account with 500 USD of the cost, which is your risk. That's the only risk you can take. You pass the challenge, you pass the verification, you become funded. You can easily make like 2,000 a month. That's it, very simple. While back then, you needed to have like a lot of money to actually make 2,000. Using the proper risk management, not saying risking like 50% of the account on the trade, but using 0.5 or 1% risk per trade, honestly, to make some good money. So definitely best thing that happened.
Yeah, I'll never forget. I mean, you speak about, I completely forgot about it when it moved from 30-day time limits to unlimited.
Yeah.
Which was, I remember that because I worked on the tech side of this industry at the time, and clients were always asking us, can we do like no time limits? And I always said no, like, I didn't advise it because of, risk from managing a firm. I mean, it's a great opportunity for traders, but it was a large risk filter for prop firms. Yeah. And then one day we wake up and we come into the office and FTMO's made the change. And all of a sudden it's like, well, they're making the change. Everyone has to follow suit. Like, that's an industry change you follow suit on. But not long after that, not that I think FTMO spurred it on, but I think not long after that, the race to the bottom truly began. And, I've talked about this nonstop ever since we started Blueberry Funded, but it's, that I think people come in, view it too much as an e-commerce game. They're coming in saying, how do we undercut our competitors? Lower prices, bigger discounts, easier challenges. They look at it purely as an e-commerce problem, but not as a market risk or a business risk problem, because they run, essentially in tandem with each other. I mean, if you want to make something more competitive, that's great. You're going to take on more risk. And that's something no one really understood. And it's caused a lot of problems in this industry. The last few months, I think there's no denying, has been pretty heated in the space because, and I've said this for a while, the prop space has benefited from not ever having any major market disruptions. Yes, last year a lot of firms, made their own risk problems from that e-commerce mindset. People lost MetaTrader. There were platform problems. But I've always said there's never been like a Swiss National Bank decision equivalent in the prop space. But what's been interesting is the last 3 months, we've seen a lot of volatility in gold, a lot of geopolitical issues globally that, makes markets risk on, makes, gold a lot more volatile. And that's impacted props on the model that existed quite a bit. But it's been very interesting from our perspective. On our side, we've obviously always been big on sustainability, big on strict rules, not participating in the race to the bottom. And it's an uphill battle, trying to get people out of the mindset of being a casino trader. I call it is big because I think you've highlighted something really big. I want to scream at traders. It's like, this is a great opportunity. Like I would have, looking back, killed for this opportunity 10 years ago and it's here. Yeah. And look, I don't blame the traders. They've been led down a false path by other firms. They've been fed a false narrative, and it's hard to be the stern, angry father, like as Blueberry Funded, when you've got other prop firms out there just racing to the bottom, giving people what they want and everything. And it not being good for the firm, it's not good for the traders long term, and then it's not good for the industry. So I say it's a great opportunity, prop trading, but it's one that it's kind of the thing that makes prop trading really awesome. It's very community driven. Sometimes that gets a bit toxic, we see on X and Discord and that, but it's also something I think as a community of traders, affiliates, content creators, the prop firm owners themselves need to come together to, make the industry more sustainable. Because, it goes through periods like the last few months, there's a lot of traders on X, very disappointed, a lot of people, feeling hard done by the prop space because, when, it's a risk on market and there's volatility, it becomes high risk for prop firms. But that's where, I think our mission has been kind of proven right, to be honest, because I see more and more firms each month adding rules that, we had a year ago, or the best kind of success is all those affiliates and partners and people we tried to work with a year ago and they said, I'm not working with you, I'm working with, casino prop firm because they do this, this, and this. It's great to see them come and actually reach out to us in reverse and say, hey, I actually really want to work with you. And I say to them, well, what happened to casino prop firm? You said you loved them. You said we were terrible. And they're like, oh, turns out they weren't a very sustainable business. Who would have thought? And it's like, well, we'll ask. That's why we built our business this way. So that's, my, side rant about, it's about making the industry more responsible and everyone sort of being together on that. But I'm very curious as to your approach with it. So obviously, I've been a trader in the past, but obviously I come from a business perspective. We built Blueberry Funded. I've been out of the markets, on a day-to-day basis for a few years now, more on the business side when it comes to regulated brokerage, tech, prop firms. So obviously when it came to building Blueberry Funded, I mean, it's about sustainability from a business standpoint, but also from a trading standpoint. Because I believe what makes trading sustainable makes payout sustainable, makes prop firms sustainable. But I'm keen to hear your perspective on this and, why you think, Blueberry Funded's rules are good for traders, approaching it from the trading side of it, not just, the business side that I do.
Okay. Yeah, very good question, honestly. Why? Because look, the thing is that I may state a fact that I never had a problem with the prop. No, like, not how to say this, never had a problem with any prop firm regarding that will ban me, that will breach me for no reason or whatever. And this is just for a fact that you want to have a proper approach to the trading as a trader, like use proper risk management, proper trade management as well. Do not gamble, do not pressure, do not, go in all in every day with on every trade. And this is with every prop, not just Blueberry Funded. And Blueberry Funded, what I like the most, I'm not speaking, guys, I'm not speaking as a ICMO, okay? I'm speaking as a trader. Is that it's built to make you a better trader, more sustainable, more profitable, and more consistent. And this is what matters. And if you can pass it, you don't need to be in the fear you're not getting paid. That's the first thing. You're getting paid. You're gonna be consistent, which is the most important stuff. Because like Marcus said before, like when we had a conversation, like who is really a good trader from the prop space? It's a very big question, because you can buy 10 challenges, pass one, make tons of money on that one challenge, and that doesn't mean that you're a good trader. It means you got lucky. Simple as that, right? And so the goal should be like, you buy the challenge, you don't fail. Trade it. Pass it, be consistent, and consistently get paid from one account, if that makes sense. So Blueberry Funded rules are basically how to say this in word in English. They're placed in a way to make you a better trader, make you more sustainable, make you more consistent and profitable at the end of the day. And as far as much as I would like to trade with Blueberry Funded, I'm not allowed, obviously.
Yeah, sorry about that. Compliance.
Yeah, it's okay. I love it, and also I love it for a fact that who is behind the scenes. We have like Blueberry markets. Like I love Blueberry markets. I always traded with them since the beginning. Like I said, 2017. It was the first broker I ever. It was the first broker I approached. I registered and trade with, and when I heard the Blueberry Fund that is coming out, I was like, finally, finally something good is going to happen in this space, right? And if I can give you one advice, guys, like you get the challenge from Blueberry Funded, you take it slow, you read the rules, obviously you read the FAQs, you take it slow, no rush, you pass the challenge, and what you can do is when you get the payout, you can simply withdraw that to the Blueberry Markets Trade Live account, where you don't have rules, you don't have anything, you're free as a bird, and you're backed like 10 plus years in the space, as a broker. So I think like everything is set to make you a better trader. Simple as that. Not speaking as an SCMO, speaking as a trader.
Well, it's kind of interesting, and it's one I always feel the need to reiterate to traders. You'll go on Trustpilot, someone leaves a 1-star review, and it's like, oh, the rules, they're just there to breach traders. And it's like, well, if that was the case, why is our funded trader profitability rate, anywhere from 50 to 80% above the industry average? Our pass rates are lower, the logic would dictate that based on the rules being harder. But what it proves, though, is that, it's not just semantics, it's not just marketing slogans, it's not just us trying to protect firm future payouts. It actually shows that the data shows that there's truth in what we're trying to do here, and that it's like, it's harder to pass. It's harder to stay within the rules. But if you do, on average, you will be more profitable based on what the data's saying. So I think that's really amazing. And it's something that I think it's easy to forget as a trader. If you're breached or the rules are a bit complex, or you didn't read through the FAQs, or something didn't make sense to you. But ultimately, it's important that you do. Read all the rules and everything like that. Because people will always say, oh, there's hidden rules. And I always joke, I say, they're hidden. They're hidden in plain sight. They're hidden in the FAQs, the legal documents, the website. But the thing is, I never understood that, because, look, we have complicated rules, and I've never tried to hide that. They're not hidden at all. But the funny thing about it, though, is that it's important that you learn them. Well, it's like trading a strategy. If you go into the market, you've got your strategy. One day, the risk-reward ratio is not right, or you didn't put your SL in the right place or something. You can't go to the market and be like, oh, sorry, I didn't understand the strategy. It was complicated to me. The market doesn't care. It's something I always say to people, the market doesn't care. And the rules that
It
we have in
doesn't.
place are to reflect that. It's because, look, the rules are there because look, you're coming in, we're paying out the traders, we're trying to run this sustainably for everyone. And, ultimately, like, you need to do your research. Look, it's a retail product. You are paying for it at the end of the day. I mean, obviously. But, really, I think uh, the people that are going to that are going to benefit from this space in the long term are the people that, again, it's like studying strategy. It's like learning everything. You have to study the rules of a prop firm because as much as it's a retail
Mm,
product, once you are funded, it's a really a contractual position you could legally argue. And with that, when you're in that, you've got to read everything in depth. Like we're not doing this here to catch people out or to make it hard. I mean, it's already really hard, as it is. I mean, that's kind of the point. It's not about it being easy, it's about it being worth it. So again, we really encourage people to look into the rules, read everything as much as possible, ask us on support or in Discord, if certain parts of the strategy will or won't work on our rules. And if it doesn't suit you, there's a lot of other prop firms out there. We understand that many people trade across different firms. Not every strategy works on every firm, and we're mindful of that. And we're very honest about it. Other firms will just take anyone's money. I've talked to some affiliates before
yeah.
who are like, oh, I can get you all these traders, or I can get you this, or I'd want to trade with you, but can you change this, and this? And I'm like, well, why? And it's like, oh, my strategy will only work with that. I'm like, well, sorry, that's the risk we're willing to take on as a firm. We're not going to, just to make a few quick dollars, change all of that and give you this easy challenge. Like, yeah, we might get a few
Yeah.
sales in, but it's not worth it. But that's a really important thing. I think I always say to people, and it's a bit arrogant, but I think if you get a payout with Blueberry Funded is worth a lot more than a payout from another prop firm, because it means you stuck to a lot stricter rules, and that's really important,
Definitely.
to be honest. But yeah, I think matching strategies to rules is really important. I remember back when I was in brokerage, and you'd have these big, managed account strategy traders, people coming in, and they're like, all right, I'm willing to bring in, all the investment I have to you, but I need, 1 to 500 leverage on uncapped amount of funds, fixed zero spreads, reduced commissions, all of this. And I'm like, okay, there's certain things you can offer, but sometimes it just ends up becoming a fantasy world. You can't do that. And I'm like, why do you need all that? It's like, my strategy is only profitable if all those things happen. And then I say, well, then
Hmm.
your strategy is terrible, to be honest. I think
Yeah,
strategies
definitely.
need to be built to survive the hardest, worst case market scenarios,
Everything.
not when everything is
Everything.
easy for you. And likewise with the
Yeah.
prop firm, we have some strict rules, but if your strategy can work with us, it can work anywhere. And that's why I think it's a really
Mm,
big test of skill. I digress,
mm.
though. Here to talk to you, not to hear my mad ramblings. I think people who watch this have probably heard
No,
enough over the last year.
you stated
But
facts. You stated facts. Like
thank you,
it
thank
also
you.
comes. It also comes down to, like you said, about strategies. It's like when I see people complaining, yeah, they breached me for that and this, and it's like, okay, why? It's not the problem with the prop, right? Rules are rules. Simple as that. If you follow them, there's not going to be any breaches, right? And and it comes down to the strategy, like how you were taught as a trader and how you approach the market as a trader. Because look, if you use or let's say if you trade one or two pairs, right, at the same time, usually you're not going to have a setup every day. That's the first thing. And usually you're not going to have a setup at the same time all the time, obviously. And with that being said, you're gonna use 1% risk per trade, one setup, one trade, and one trade at a time. And if you're gonna use that, you're not gonna breach margin rule. You're not gonna breach Martin Angle rule. You're not gonna breach chasing losses. You're not gonna breach anything, because you trade one trade at a time with 1% risk or 0.5 even, and that's it. It's simple as that. And you have to have clear rules in mind or on a paper, whatever. Like for myself, if I can say to you guys, like I have a one win or one loss a day. That's it. I'm done either way. If I win, I'm done. If I lose, I'm done. I come back next day or even in 2 days, whatever. And usually on average, I have two trades a week, and I use 1% risk. And this is how I avoid being breached by prop for no reason. I avoid getting on the radar, or I avoid a lot of stuff. Like I said, I never had a problems with props because of this, because I take this seriously and I take a serious approach. I don't care if it's a demo prop account. I don't care if I just, pay. I treat it as a business. I treat it as a, professional stuff. And this is how I approach. And like you said, Marcus, people are complaining that my strategy doesn't work with this set of rules. Well, shit, your strategy sucks. Simple as that.
It's kind of the blunt truth a lot of the time. Obviously you have to be reserved, I think, when saying it to a trader, but that's honestly, that is the cold hard truth of it, is that your strategy is not very good. Like, it is what it is. I mean, but I think you've hit on something. You're talking about demos, talking about real funds. Now, obviously, you said Blueberry funded traders have the ability to withdraw to their Blueberry Markets account. It's all part of the ecosystem. We know that. Well, it's great because, we're not one of these brokers who sees props as like the adversary. It's quite the opposite. It's why we built Blueberry funded. We call them their and products, not all products. Like, I think it's every trader's dream to trade with their own money and have that flexibility. But not everyone has it. Yeah, John.
Yeah. Can I add something really quick, like on this topic? Like, this is the best thing it happened. Why? Because, like, if you want to have a live account, on which you're not going to be you're not going to have rules, whatever the prop space have, and in your deep inside yourself, you don't have a lot of money to deposit in the brokerage. Simple, we have a solution. Buy the challenge, pass it, make tons of money. We drive it to the broker. You have a live account, so you can diversify in that space. You can have a prop, you can have a live account. On a live account, you're not going to get breached, obviously, because there are no rules. That you can trade without stop loss, you can trade news, you can.
Well, you get the worst kind of breach, which is you lose all of your money on the broker. Margin stop out. That is the brokerage equivalent of a breach. But again, that's there to protect you, so you don't go into a negative balance. But anyway, I jest. Again, you're trading on your own rules. You are your own boss with it. The flexibility of it.
It's simple. Like, because I'm looking from my perspective. Let's say back in the day. Not now, but back in the day. Like I said, I didn't have like 5K as a student to just deposit on the brokerage and trade his money. Even I wanted to, I didn't have it, but I had props. So with the props, I built the capital, with which the capital I traded live. Simple as that, and you can diversify, because the more you diversify, the better. Because let's say you have a Blueberry funded, you have a XYZ prop firm, you have this brokerage, and you get breached on that, you're not left with nothing. You still have something, if that makes sense. You're not, overnight. And this is, I think, the best thing you can have, like with Blueberry funded. Like, you make money, you choose to withdraw to the Blueberry market, you trade live, boom, and you do this all the time. And it's a very smooth process. Boom, click of a button, simple as that.
So where are you at right now with trading, though? So you've done real accounts, you've gone to prop, back to real accounts. When do you utilize your trading right now? I mean, obviously, unfortunately, you can't trade with Blueberry because you now work with us. But I guess account-wise, like, do you prefer to trade on prop right now, or real account, or both? Like, where's the strategy at this point in time?
As of now, I trade both of them. I definitely prefer a live account because I come from this space, right? I'm used to it. But I trade both of them because, I'm not going to speak numbers, but I'm going to say this. My prop accounts altogether is definitely bigger than my live account, if that makes sense. So I can make more money with props as of this moment that I can make with live account, right? So I trade both of them because I love live accounts. It's freedom. I love prop space because it gives you the capital, do the heavy lifting. It gives you the option to actually grow as a trader, to learn, be consistent, profitable, because you have to obey the rules, which are in the place to make you that trader. And yeah, I trade both, honestly.
Be an ecosystem trader. And we're not even talking about futures yet, which is the other one in there. So obviously we have Blueberry futures as well. But it's it is very interesting to hear the perspective coming from the trading side.
I do have a question for you. I know that we recently we recently developed a challenge that is going to be more lenient, that is going to be more friendly and more um, offer more freedom to the traders, which is Prime Challenge. So how do you see the Prime Challenge being used in a Blueberry Funded, let's say in a year? And how do you see what is the goal of Blueberry Funded like a year from now? What do we want to achieve?
Yeah, look, and it's a great question. So, look, the Prime Challenge, and it's an interesting one because I'm being torn apart in the Discord as we speak about,
Okay.
the reason behind this challenge. But it's good to answer this.
Yeah.
It's so obviously, look, we make no secret of the fact we have strict rules. A lot of people
Yeah.
don't like those strict rules. Now, rather than saying, okay, we'll take the rules away and get some quick money in and take on all this risk, we said, all right, let's develop an alternative challenge. People don't like the lot size rules. They want to be able to trade the news. And by the way, as much as news trading is gambling a lot of the time, I do see, from a macro fundamental trading strategy, the swings that come from news and larger sort of, macro outlook are legitimate. So again, the annoying thing about props is sometimes you have to work to the worst case scenario, which is, there's a lot of great traders that trade the news, or the news contributes to, hitting their profit, or the movement contributes to a wider outlook that they have. But unfortunately, you have to work to the worst case scenario, which is gambling. But I do believe there's legitimate cases for these. So when we do something like this, we don't just sort of take away a bunch of rules. We said, all right, let's build a new challenge. Let's go back to the drawing board. Let's look at the data. We have over a year of data in place. It was the same as when we launched instant funding. We didn't launch it on day one, even though we knew we could make more sales with it because people love instant funding. We said, let's look at the data, let's analyze and wait until we're comfortable to take on that extra risk. And with the Prime Challenge, it's no different. We look at the data and we say, all right, we want to take away all those rules that we've had a lot of requests in the Discord to remove. But it's a balancing act. And I always say props are a balancing act. You have to balance it with something else that's going to maintain a suitable level of risk for the firm. And in my opinion, the traders. So we took away a lot of those rules. There's a bit of a different drawdown, max drawdown and daily drawdown. And we just ask for people to hit a higher number of active trading days. And that's really to display consistency. We didn't want to put a consistency rule in. They get quite a lot of negative feedback. And I think they're not... imperfect. They're just flawed a lot of the time, I think, in terms of how someone trades in a consistent manner. So we'd rather use the active trading days where you have to make a certain amount across the 5 days. And it's great. And it's a very interesting one, because, again, the way we originally priced it was, okay, this is going to be easier. We're taking, you're allowed to martingale, you're allowed to grid trade, you're allowed to news trade. There's no fixed lot size rules. There's no all-in trading rule. Go for it. And I thought it would be super easy. That's why, to balance the risk, it was priced higher as well. Funnily enough, it has one of the lowest pass rates of our challenges. And it's one of those things, and that was in its own way rewarding, because everyone kept saying, your challenges are too hard, make them easier. You open the floodgate, and when you give people what they want, or you make it too easy, maybe the psychology gets to people. Because I look at it and I'm like, why would you not be able to, why would this have a lower pass rate? When the active trading days are a bit of a hurdle. I get that, but you can do whatever you want on it. No consistency rules either, like other firms. It's probably one of the most flexible challenges in the space. Again, not to pat ourselves on the back too much. But what was very interesting, lowest pass rate we have, highest average payout. So again, if you're good at it, if you know what you're doing and you take advantage of that flexibility, you, on average, again, coming from the data, you will be more profitable. But again, I think it's one of those ones, and this is how we operate as a firm. We go risk off where we can, and then when we know we can take on more risk, we'll be flexible. And that's why with the Prime Challenge, like I said before, I thought it would be a much, higher risk product for us, but it turns out it's not. We've gone back to the numbers and we said, we should reduce the price now, because that's how we operate. We don't just, come out with something easy at the start to be competitive and make quick money. We don't just cave to the first request from traders. We wait until there's enough community feedback. We feed it into our data modeling, our internal risk team, and we come up with an outcome. Now, sometimes that doesn't take a day. Sometimes it takes a week, a month, a few months. But that's how we like to operate. And that's why, we're here. We're a year and a half in. 95% of prop firms fail within 2 years. We've gone from essentially a startup to number 7 on prop firm match, by favorite ranking in, a year and a half. And I think that the evidence is there. So that's kind of the reason why we launched the Prime Challenge, why we're now changing the prices on it, and why I think it's a great option for traders, to be honest. And it's been a slow uptake because, again, it's a narrative changing one. People go to the website, they just go do a normal 2-step challenge. Seeing something a bit different is hard to, convince people to do. So it's been a slow burn, but we've seen month on month the popularity of it grow, which has been really exciting.
Yeah, definitely. Like you stated a big fact. Like I think it's a more or less it's psychology behind the scenes. Every time it comes to this, like I said before, you can have tons of knowledge, tons of experience, whatever. You can have it. It's simple to acquire, but it comes down to psychology of each person, the mindset, right? And this mindset is usually quote unquote being destroyed by the social media hype that people see especially on Instagram, that people see through the reels, like everything is so easy in trading that you can make tons of money, then you can blah, 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 and this is the big problem for people coming into this space with this mindset, thinking I can achieve that in a week, and going for a challenge and say, yeah, I'm gonna buy this challenge because it's simple and easy. It only cost me, $500. And I think, yeah, I'm gonna pass this in a day. Well, you're not. Simple as that, and it's all, like I said, it comes down to psychology. Like if the traders will have a better approach, be more professional, be more realistic, especially realistic, I think the pass rate will be bigger, and the success rate obviously will be bigger, and there will be less complaining. Simple as that. Because the Prime Challenge, like in my eyes as a trader, not the SEMO, it's a very good challenge. It's very simple. It gives you a lot of freedom as a trader. You don't need to worry about anything. Like you just trade. Simple as that. And I really don't understand. So, like I said, guys, keep it simple and fix the mindset, fix the psychology and approach to the trading, and a lot of things are going to change.
Awesome. No, I mean, I couldn't agree more with that. I mean, I feel like I knew like having both two like internal staff members do this podcast is just going to sort of divert into like shameless plugging of the products. But I'd like to think in doing so, we've been able to explain them better to traders. And sort of our mindset behind them, which I think is really important. Sometimes traders, they only see a one-line review. They see an angry person on X. They see one of these malicious review pages just make things up or repost the wrong thing. And look, sometimes it's good to hear things directly from the people that are working on them and why they've built these products, how they've done it, and what the outlook is. I mean, I think the next part of your question was what Blueberry Fund is planning to do over the next year. I mean, obviously, we've just launched Blueberry Futures, so that's been a new project for us and a big focus. But really, look, it's kind of interesting because, like, usually I have a lot of things to say to these questions, but I think the last year was one of us innovating and building. We did so many different things: stock challenges, synthetic challenges, release instant. We released Prime. We added Trade Locker. We redesigned our website. Redesigned a lot of internal processes, things like that. So it's been a huge year of us building and adding things. And I think the next year is one of, I've already said this on X, I think this is going to be consolidation in the industry. And I think in terms of that, I think we're going to see a lot more firms go under. We're going to see a lot more risk in the markets like we have the last few months. So for us, it's just about like we've built a sustainable model. We have the data to know it works. We've added a lot of new things to the product line to suit a lot of different traders. Now it comes down to one of us, sailing the ship steady over the next year. I mean, we have a few other really awesome products that we're going to be releasing over the next few months. And the big things just comes back to, and I sound like a broken record, it comes back to sustainability and risk management. And we have a lot of new ideas coming out around that. A lot more newer challenges, better internal models as well for managing risk, booking more flow, STPing a lot more to make things more sustainable on that front. And I know that's a bit of a open-ended question or statement. A lot of prop firms talk about book and they talk about STPing. And even I have gone on the record, even done lectures on prop firm risk management saying how hard and troublesome it is and something that's easier said than done. But we're always working on it. Because again, like I think even if there's ways to manage trader flow, find successful strategies, deploy them in the market, to even change to shift the dial a few percent on company-wide payouts or things, that's a huge win. Again, the funny thing is a lot of people that run prop firms, they view risk management the same way some of the traders you talked about do. They think, oh, I'm going to run this A-book strategy and I'm going to be able to hedge all payouts and even make extra money on the 20% profit share on my side. And I'm like, no, like it's not that easy. It's very complicated. And if you do a few wrong things, it can blow up everything, just like trading. So the best thing you can hope for with it is, it's a very meticulous, slow burn strategy that you deploy through a lot of different means. And I'm going to do some more dedicated content on this in the future to help, move the dial a few percent within the margins of the business. Because that's really where success comes from. It's not always like hard and fast. It's about a lot of little things when it comes to risk management, business cost base, acquisition. I think, but in that, there will be some exciting products as part of it too. It's not just things we're working on nerding out about on the inside of the business. There will be products that can reflect a lot better hedging capabilities that are coming down the track. Again, I'm sure we'll get a lot of feedback on those, positive and as usual negative, to make them easier in that. They will be very risk managed, but I'm really excited to bring new things to the space that other people aren't doing, that also give traders opportunity and work for the business as well. So you'll hear more about that in the coming months, which we're really excited about.
Awesome. That last year was a blast. Definitely, it was a blast. I'm looking forward for this year as well, that we develop so much things and come closer to traders and make space better, obviously, and to be good for everyone. And I'm very excited. I'm very excited for it.
Awesome. I think that brings us to the end of our time. I mean, I guess, were there any last, final thoughts or words of wisdom you'd want to leave the viewers and the traders with?
Yeah, definitely. Guys, look, listen. Listen to yourself. I'm speaking now from the experiences. Listen to yourself and do not look at the people who are portraying lavish lifestyle, because most of it is fake. This is the first thing. Do not pressure. Do not go all in the trades. Take it slow. Be patient. Okay. Read the rules and FAQs, and one trade at a time. That's it. You're gonna be fine. Keep risk management, keep trade management intact, and that's it. Simple as that. Keep it simple.
Very wise words. No, and funnily enough, that's always the theme in these. Like, we've had 10 plus trader spotlight interviews, whatever you want to call them. And the one big words of wisdom, the big takeaway from all of them is keep it simple, take it slow. And you read so many trading books, so many business books, and it's the same advice every time. It's common knowledge, but it's not very commonly applied because it's so easy to ignore it. So I think that's a really good takeaway message that comes back to sort of our ethos and mantra as a firm.
Well, the more you complicate things, the harder it begins. Let me touch just on one point. There is a guy, a mentor of all mentors. He says that most of the traders look on is the ICT. Okay, so let's touch on this topic. So, real quick, ICT. When I started trading back in 2017, there was first videos of him on YouTube, right? I watched them. Not gonna lie, I did watch them. But he started to complicate things so much that people trading this concept are unprofitable. Like, the unprofitable percentage is like 90 plus of the traders who trade ICT, because it's too complicated. It's like some weird terms like breaker block, let's say, which is basically a resistant becoming support when it market breaks above or below, vice versa. Like, so many terms, that some more complication that you have to look at this time, this and that and that. Well, keep it simple. Keep it simple. Like, I'm not saying he's a bad trader. The concepts are bad. They aren't. They're good concepts. I use some of the tools he taught. Not everything, because most of the stuff it's not usable. But you want to keep it simple. You don't want to complicate things with your strategy. You don't want to look at 1,000 things that price must do, because look, have your bias, have your trend, break of structure, VVG, order block, price numbers. Keep it simple. You don't need to complicate. at this certain time, at this certain candle must be shown on the market for you to actually execute the trade. Well, you can have a complicated strategy or you can have a simple strategy. I know people who only trade supply and demand, only supply and demand in the trend, and they're so successful with simple strategy. Keep it simple, like I said before. I said to my students this all the time: keep it simple. Not
Wise
gonna
words.
complicate.
I love it. I think it's really good and a good final note to end on. So, Seb, thanks for having you on. I think we're going to be seeing, a lot more content, with you in the future. For those who aren't aware, Seb does do ongoing market updates on our YouTube. And yeah, going in 2026, I think we're going to have a lot more going on there. So exciting times. Thanks for coming on, Seb.
Thanks for having me, and guys, see you soon.
Awesome. Thanks for watching, everyone.